Hey there, Arma here. Welcome to a brand new video. Welcome to today's video, which is going to be about what is narcissism. Now, about a few weeks ago to a month ago, I mentioned how I wanted to speak more on narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, due to my experience and things that I've seen others go through within my life. So I want people to be more aware and educated on narcissism and, just the manipulation, abuse, that people go through on a daily basis. A lot of people aren't aware of narcissistic abuse. They don't really understand what it is. And this is going to be the first video of the main series that I'm trying to do here with my brand new whiteboard. Hope you guys like it. But I haven't written on a whiteboard in a while, so please excuse me. Also, happy Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May. I think it's the perfect time to start this going along with this series that I want to do on narcissism. First of all, to identify what is narcissism, right? There are a lot of people in the world that have narcissistic traits, like naturally as a human being, because we need to be able to survive. We have some narcissistic traits because in order for us to stay alive and to protect ourselves, we have to have some amount of narcissistic traits to say hey, we need to protect ourselves. We need to put ourselves first so that we can stay healthy, so that we can help better ourselves before we help others, or, we're just putting ourselves first in certain situations, fight or flight response, stuff like that. But when we talk about narcissism, or we say, oh, this person is narcissistic, we say, oh, this person is a potential person that actually has a personality disorder that has a pattern of what I listed here: manipulation, victimization, being sadistic, objectification of others, inflated sense of self-importance, and lack of empathy, right? A lot of times, people who are very narcissistic or have a narcissistic personality disorder, a lot of them go undiagnosed because they do not think they have a problem. The first way to get help for any mental health issue that you have to realize that there is a problem. Okay, I've noticed I've been acting this way, whatever the case may be. Let me go seek therapy, or, get some psychiatric help or something in some way, right? The first step to solving a problem is realizing that you have a problem. So when it comes to people who are narcissistic, or people who have NPD, is the short way of saying narcissistic personality disorder, they have this inflated sense of self-importance, right? So it's like, there's nothing wrong with me. A lot of times, if you do tell someone who does have NPD, hey, you're a narcissist, they're gonna just kind of manipulate you into thinking that, they're not the problem, you're the problem. So it's kind of challenging when it comes to treating people who are narcissistic, or people that, have those patterns of someone with narcissistic personality disorder. Also, let you know, guys, I am not licensed or anything. This is all based on my experience with it, based on the patterns and the research I have done throughout the years in my life, and seeing what others go through. So let's go along here. When we talk about narcissism, inflated sense of self-importance, what does this look like? All right. So just think about the people in the world who will do anything to gain riches, or do anything to make themselves feel better, right? So this inflated sense of self-importance isn't about it's good to be yeah, I see myself as important, blah blah blah. It's not that. It's more so of they will do anything to put themselves or step over others just to make them feel better, right? So maybe a narcissist has done something mean or very evil to you, right? And you come back to them and say hey, you made me feel uncomfortable, or you did something that I didn't like, and I think it doesn't sit right well with me, right? So narcissists, because they have an inflated sense of self-importance, they're going to do this right here. Boom. They're going to do this, and they're going to do this. Now, how are they going to manipulation and victimization go along with the inflated self of importance, right? Because they don't like when people point out their flaws because of their inflated sense of self-importance. They're going to manipulate you to think like, hey, you're tripping. Like, what are you talking about? So with manipulation, a lot of that goes along with this word right here. Gaslighting. Okay? Gaslighting is basically, we're going to get into that with future videos, but gaslighting is basically, doing a 180 on you and trying to get you to think that you're actually in the wrong for doing what you're doing, even though you're right. Okay, so it's the manipulation back to that example of telling someone like, hey, what you did to me was wrong, and, pointing out the flaws in the narcissist, right? But with this self-importance, they're like, what, how dare you? So they're going to try to manipulate you, get you to think that you're in the wrong, right? You must be doing whatever was wrong, because they're trying to protect this self-importance of themselves. They're trying to guard themselves, right? They have this force field, right? And anytime you try to criticize them and, get to this, they're going to be like, nope, we're bouncing it back and we're putting it in your field. Another way is victimization with narcissists, is to victimize themselves for, let's use this word, well, my eye, not the best looking eye right there, lowercase I, but attention. Okay? So the narcissist will, if they want attention for something, they could use victimization, to get people to, just to use it, just to get attention, because that goes back to helping with their inflated self-importance. So, in an example, I had a parent who, in my life in the past that was a narcissist, and they would use victimization in a way to get attention. Also, along with gaslighting, to make you feel bad for pointing out their mistakes. So I guess a scenario I could think about is like, was just a pretty rude person in my opinion. And when I point out, hey, to them, you might be stressed out because, you're always taking your anger out on me, that made them even more mad. So instead of like, in a way, taking accountability, I forgot to add, not taking accountability is one of the things too. But they got mad and basically manipulated me and just kind of just told me to like be quiet or whatever, or you're wrong or whatever. And it did make me feel bad. But then again, this is where the lack of empathy comes in. And this is a big one right here, because if a person, especially a narcissist, who can't empathize with how you feel or anything like that, they're not really going to care, because at the end of the day, this comes first. This always comes first. This is what they're protecting, their inflated sense of self-importance, right? And it's the lack of empathy that helps engineer it. With a lack of empathy, they don't care. They can manipulate you. Gaslighting. They could victimize themselves for attention and to get people to be on their side, right? And the people that they try to get on their side is through another manipulation tactic we'll talk about later, called triangulation, something like that. And then they also have enablers. With the victimization, there's, oh god, that's a terrible E, but they have enablers. Guys, look at my unique E right here, my unique uppercase E. But you get the point. They have enablers that people enable their behavior. And then we call those enablers flying monkeys. Boom. And that is a unique Y. Oh my gosh. Guys, don't don't fry me too much. This is my first time like ever doing something like this with the whiteboard, so I'll get better as time goes along. But the enablers, the victimization, right? They could say, oh, this person was just saying horrible things, about me and blah, blah, blah. And, they made me really upset. So, and they're this and they're that and they're this. And so with the victimization, they get the attention of people who could potentially be on their side and the people that enable them. And we call them flying monkeys. Now, enablers can be enablers for one reason, maybe because they are not fully educated or understand this and this and this, right? Another reason can be because the enablers are they kind of think the same like the narcissist. They could be narcissistic and abusive themselves, and that could be the issue too. And another reason why there's flying monkeys or enablers of the narcissist, because the enablers don't want to be they don't want to be in the position of the actual victim, the real victim. They do not want to be this. They don't want to be narc enemy number one, right? They don't want to be this. So they'll stick to enabling the narcissist through their victimization. And sometimes the enablers will realize in the final end the truth, and or maybe they actually know but they're still afraid. But it really all depends, right? So let's go down here, sadism, right? So I guess I got to do a little bit more research, right? But I do know, especially like malignant narcissists, and we'll get into the different types of narcissists. But a lot of times with sadism, which is basically they get a thrill out of you being in pain, right? So I'll give an example of, for example, if a person has like a very aggressive dog and they don't have that dog on a on a leash, and you're a guest at their place and they don't want to put the dog on a leash, and they know that the aggressive dog is following you or kind of bothering you, and you're kind of fearful because you don't want to get bit or attacked or anything like that, and they could be laughing or smiling at you, or maybe try to even get the dog to go closer to you just out of joking and fun, when you're obviously very uncomfortable, right? So that goes with that, the pleasure of seeing others in pain, especially if someone is crying because of the pain the narcissist caused, and that could cause a narcissist to feel good in some weird way, right? So that goes with that. Objectification is what can the narcissist get from you, right? They don't, a lot of times people who are severely narcissists they look at people like prizes, right? Like prizes you win at arcades, right? If you get the best prize at the arcade, right, you're gonna, like, say you win a PlayStation or Xbox at Dave & Buster's or something like that, you're gonna be like, oh my god, look guys, I won this amazing prize. And because a PlayStation is more valuable in a way than let's say like a plush toy or whatever like that, right? People may prefer the well-known gaming console over a plush toy, right? Because of the value and stuff like that. So this goes along with like the objectification, especially if you see, people who are successful, or, women who look super attractive. A lot of narcissistic men may try to take a woman who looks beautiful, may treat her well and everything like that, but then the abuse starts to happen, and people are like, man, how can this beautiful woman get treated like that by this guy? And it's really because they don't see them as a human being. You know, with the looks, it's just, oh, if I have her around, you know, people know I have the it girl and this and that and this, right? So it's the benefits, and we'll get more into that. But yeah, guys, this is just a little introduction, a little bit about narcissism, what we're going to get into. There's a lot that goes along with everything with this, but yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and share your thoughts. If anyone want to share any information or are more knowledgeable about narcissism, please put it down in the comment section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe if you like content such as this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and take care.